Go live. Oops, we are live. We're live. We're
It's
live, everybody.
a good time to be live, even though
Right?
it looks kind of strange. It's a great time to be live.
It's a great time to be live.
Yes,
It's 12 o'clock for both of us. It's high noon, right? It's lunch hour.
it's lunch hour. Okay, let them grab their napkins and their sandwich, and then let us go and proceed to tell them how wonderful life could be.
Okay, are you guys ready? I am here with the amazing, the fabulous, the epigenetics master himself, the New York Times best-selling author of several million trillion books, the very handsome Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Liz, thank you so much for letting me be part of this program with you and all of our wonderful people out there. Why? Because the world looks so crazy.
I
And,
know. We're
it
just
is, but if you know what's going on,
Wait a second. Barbara says, "Yay, two of my most favorite people on earth." Oh, Barbie. She says, "Oh,
thanks, Barb.
oh,
Yeah,
we're seeing all of you. We're seeing all of you saying hello from the UK and from.
hey,
Can you see the comments? If you go top right on your screen, there's
yeah.
a little button, Bruce, that says,
Oh, there it is. Look at that. All right.
"Isn't that great? I love that. I'm so excited." Yes.
Hi, Switzerland, coming there next week.
Yay.
Vienna, coming there sooner
Denmark,
than next week.
California, Kimberly. It's from all over the world. South Africa. This is so wonderful that we can do this and reach people from all over the globe. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Liz Dawn, and I am I don't know, what do I do? I run something called Celebrate Your Life events, and I do these beautiful spiritual programs. We've been doing this for 28 years. Can you believe that? I've been doing this 28 years, Bruce.
I was there a long time ago. I don't know if it
No,
was 28 years.
28 years. And I bring together spiritual luminaries all in one fantastic event. We do them conferences, we do retreats, and we do that all over the country. And so here we are with the fabulous Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's going to say some really amazing things today. So we're going to have a good conversation.
Let's just start with something that Liz is organizing a great program with my dear brother, Greg Braden, Anita Morjani, who has a message that will, blow your mind if you don't know her message yet, and a dear friend of mine, Shamini Jain, which will really connect us with our consciousness, our spirituality, and what we see going on in the world. So what to me is very important is this. It's crazy outside. Yes, it's crazy outside. But guess what? It's expected.
It's expected. All right, so this is going to
expected.
be a really, really great conversation. We're going to talk we're going to talk about what's happening in the world. And very quickly, I just want to share with you that we are doing an event with Dr. Bruce Lipton, with Greg Braden, Anita Morjani, and Shamini Jain. So the four of these amazing teachers came to me and said, "Hey, Liz, the four of us want to do a program. We've been wanting to do it for years. Will you please put it together? Because I'm the party planner."
Yeah. Party hats, everything.
Yes. So we're doing this really great event. I put the URL right up on the screen, but we're doing this great event in January. But let's go ahead. We'll talk about that a little bit later in our conversation, but let's talk about the world and the crazies. We're not going to get into anything specific, you guys, but we're all aware that there's a little bit of craziness going on here. And I said to Bruce before we came on, I'm like, "Oh my goddess, like what's happening?" And Bruce, please share. Like, what do we do when, like, how do we stay grounded, level, whatever it is, when we've got all kinds of intense things going on all around the globe?
Well, let's start with a very stock understanding. That's called knowledge is power. And I say, so what does that have to do? And they said, well, if you look at the world and all the chaos, you say, oh my God, what all this is happening at one time. And I go, well, what's all of this chaos is connected to one event that's shaking the entire planet. And if you understand what's happening, then all of a sudden you can look at the chaos and go, and it's not great, but boy, do we need this to move to the next level. So where's the whole problem? Well, number one, simple, it takes 1.6 planet Earths to provide for today's civilization. If you just say, look, everything go back to nice, peaceful for a moment, it takes 1.6 planets to provide for us. Well, there's a problem, of course. What you heard is there's no extra 0.6 planet to provide for all of this. I go, so what's the point? I said, we are destroying the environment to take out from this planet that extra stuff to keep us going, when we have to understand a very point, and that point is this: it's not sustainable. It can't be done. You just can't do it. And NASA scientists for the last number of years have told us that within the next 20 years, the next 2 decades, is going to be an irreversible collapse of industrial civilization. Let me emphasize the word irreversible. I really say that because a lot of people think, oh, we'll just go back to the good old days. Well, the good old days weren't that good if you really, were a global citizen. It wasn't good for a lot of people.
Right.
We can't go back. That we cannot go forward, though, until we straighten out things we haven't dealt with, because we can't drag them into the future. Well,
Okay.
the Me Too movement about women's rights. We can't go into the future with men and women being on a different, level of understanding of each other. We're all the same. And so
Right.
we have to go back and erase all this separation stuff like that. Same thing applies to Black Lives Matter. It's not just Black lives, it's minority people who are, trying to assimilate into a structure, and it's not working right. It's not working at all. And it says because somehow or other we have stratified the population. It wasn't us. I'm going to tell you the truth. The whole thing started back in the late 1800s. Charlie Darwin.
Oh, Charles Darwin. That's right. That's right.
Charlie. What did he screw us?
So let me ask you something. So but when we're having these kinds of intense things going on, how do we, because you said to me before, it's all about your level of consciousness.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of people disagree with this or agree with that or whatever, but just as us, because all of you here are on some type of a spiritual path, or else you wouldn't be tuning into this conversation. And so how do we, as spiritual, light workers, how do we manage all of this craziness that's going on, with that higher level of consciousness?
Well, the first thing of understanding higher level of consciousness is what's happening is actually a good thing. And you go, oh, come on, it's a good thing. I go,
Right.
yeah, because as I mentioned, civilization is completely unsustainable at this moment. The earth can't support us right now. So what has to happen is, well, we have to change the way we're living on the planet. I go, well, what does that mean? I say, well, you can't be doing the same things that we've done in the past, which have caused the problem, and still maintain these problems. So
Right.
basically, that's an Einstein quote. You move out. If you use the same thinking, you end up with the same problem. So the thinking is our culture. It's unsustainable. And the point about it is we have to have it collapse. Now, I didn't say put Band-Aids on it. We've been trying to put Band-Aids on it for years. And guess what? It's leaking all over the place. The point is, it's the foundation of the civilization that is at the root of the problem. And I brought up Charlie Darwin. I can tell you one thing right away, is because science has provided the foundation of civilization, the so-called truth of science. I say, so what's the issue about it? I say, well, let's summarize Charles Darwin's theory, as people have done for a couple hundred years here now. And I go, what is it? It is survival of the fittest in the struggle for life. Boy, is that a loaded sentence. I go, well, what's loaded about? Number one, survival of the doctrine that says life is based on competition and that you have to go out and compete. And there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. And they do this why? Because there's a struggle for life. I go, where did that come from? I say, a total misunderstanding of science by a philosopher about 30 years before Darwin was born, by the name of Thomas Malthus. You go, what the hell is who? I go, he had a philosophy school, and guess what the name of it was? The Pessimist. Why? Because he came up with a philosophy that says plants grow at what is called an arithmetic rate. What does that mean? I say, well, the farmer does 1 bushel this year, and if he does harder work next year, he gets 2 bushels. And if he works a little bit harder, he might get 3 bushels and then 4. So the amount of food goes up very progressively slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I said, what does that mean? Well, first there's 2, then there's 4, then there's 8, then there's 16, then there's 32. And I go, so what? Food does not keep up with the rate of animal growth. And it says there's going to be less food, more animals, and therefore competition is what Darwin said is how you're going to survive this struggle. There's not enough food, folks, and that competition will provide for the winners and the losers.
But in terms of, and I love Sue, so someone wrote on the wall here that love and unity stemming from the principle of oneness and not separation and division are our only option. And so from you and I and everybody here tuning in, how do we, like, what do you, when you say about consciousness, all right, let's get to that spiritual level. Because all of the stuff that sometimes is being spewed is very, very fear driven. And so how do we stay centered in love and in kindness and compassion?
Step outside of the situation.
Right.
Meaning what? You can stay at home, watch the news, surf the web, look out your window, look at all the crazy stuff, and then take that crazy stuff into your life. The point is this: you have to disconnect from crazy stuff. It's not that you're going to go in and change the world. We're not going to change the world. What we have to do is step outside and create a different way of life, and the others will come to that way of life. That's an old understanding.
Okay.
That says you don't challenge the system. Why? It's bigger than we are. And if you try and put your energy in to change something that has much more energy, well, mathematically, it's a simple, you don't have enough energy to change that. So the point,
so we shift
out.
Out. Okay.
Make new community. Work with people that are in harmony. Find your center. Find your spirituality. And I go, spirituality? The Bruce Lipton science guy, cell biology guy, talking about spirituality? And the answer is, well, you know what? For 40 plus years of my life, I didn't believe in it. Why? I'm a cell biology guy. DNA, protein, cells, blah, blah, blah. Live, die, dust, all that kind of stuff. But my research was studying the nature of cells and their behavior and how they're controlled. And in the process, an interesting fact shows up that when my research started to unfold, it said, well, we've been looking at genes that control life. This is 100% false. Genes to make the parts of the body, blueprints. A gene is a blueprint. I go, so what? I go into an architect's office and she's working on a blueprint. You ask her, you go, hey, is your blueprint on or off? And she look at you like, what are you, crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. And I go, aha. What's the point? Genes are blueprints. What you really want to know is who's the architect, because it's the architect who reads the blueprints, and the blueprints don't read themselves. And then the research led to the understanding that we are creating our world experiences and adjusting our genetics in the process to match our belief systems. And I go, wow, what does that mean? I said, well, if you believe the world is scary, your biology will build up a protection mechanism, wall you off from the outside. Protection is close yourself off, save yourself. And I say, yeah, but that compromises health. You know what? Here's a simple fact. There's a health crisis. Yeah, that's a fact. We know that. But guess what? Less than 1%, less than 1% of disease is even connected to genes. I go, then where's all the disease coming from? Get ready for this one. Stress. 90% of illness, 90% of heart attacks, 90% of cancer, 90% of Alzheimer's, 100% of diabetes type 2 are all due to stress. I say, and what's happening about that? I said, well, look at the world. Well, tell me you're not being stressed by just looking out the window right now. You know, it's like stress is overwhelming us, and stress shuts down our growth in our immune system to get. Remember in school, the adrenal system, fight or flight. You got a threat. You're going to run away from that tiger. I go, yeah. I say, very simply, understand how come stress is a problem. I'll tell you simply. Blood has energy. You want to energize something, you got to give it the blood because that's carrying the energy. So I say, well, when I'm just hanging out around the house, most of my blood is in my gut. And I go, what's in the gut? I go, all the organs to maintain our biology, clean the system, repair the system, energize the system. So when the gut has blood in it, it's functioning to take care of us.
Right.
But when you're under stress, get ready to run, you want the blood in your arms and legs. So I say, what's the result? Listen to this. The stress hormones cause the blood vessels in the gut to squeeze shut. I go, why? Because it pushes the blood. But you have that feeling in your gut, that queasy butterflies.
Yeah.
You know what that is? Those are blood vessels squeezing shut. That's fluttering. You could feel it's like, ooh, squeezy. And I go, so what's happening? I said, well, we're taking the blood right now and putting it in the arms and legs because that saber-toothed tiger is coming and I need to run. I need all the energy I can get. So strike one, stress. Strike one, shut down the growth and maintenance of the body. Okay, wait. Strike two. What's strike two? There are two protection systems. The adrenal system, fight or flight, protects me from the threats outside. But I have something called the immune system that protects me from the threats on the inside. Well, the immune system uses a lot of energy.
Right.
And if you doubt that, just remember when you were sick, you had low energy to even get out of the bed. Because when the immune system's working, it could use your body energy. So I say, so what energy? I said, we want all the energy to run away from the tiger. So I said, well, what if I have a bacterial infection? I go, we don't care about bacterial infection right now. It's simple. If the tiger catches you, the hell with the bacteria infection. It's not going to bother you. So the point is this. You ready? Strike two. The same stress hormones that cause the blood vessels in the gut to squeeze shut shuts down the immune system to conserve energy to run away from the tiger. Wow. And I go, it's so effective. Let me just tell you how effective stress hormones are shutting off the immune system.
Right.
When doctors want to transplant an organ from person A into person B, they give the recipient stress hormones so that the immune system of the recipient is not going to reject the foreign organ. So that's how effective stress hormones are to shut off your immune system. They actually use to shut off the immune system. Okay. So now what's happening? Tiger's chasing me. The blood vessels in the gut squeeze shut, push blood to my arms and legs. I'm shutting off the immune system right now because I can't afford to use that energy with an internal problem with the tiger chasing me. And then there's a third thing. So we have one, blood vessels in gut shut off. Two, the immune system shuts off. Okay. Three, I call this insult to injury. And I say, what is it? Well, the forebrain is thinking, consciousness. Right behind here is the conscious thinking part. The rest of the brain back here is the subconscious habit reaction part. Like, so what's important? Thinking is slow. What you want when you're in emergency is to run like hell. So guess what? Remember the stress hormones squeeze the blood vessels shut in the gut? Well, guess what? the stress hormones squeeze the blood vessels shut in the forebrain, the conscious part. And the reason is because when the blood vessels are squeezed shut, it pushes the blood to the hindbrain. That's where the reaction comes from. We become less intelligent.
Oh,
Oh,
right. I totally agree with you when I'm stressed out. I certainly am not thinking with all of like the cortexes in my brain because I'm so stressed.
well, that's
It's
the whole issue. Every part of our body
yeah.
gets ready for protection, which is wall yourself off from the outside world, protect yourself. And I say, guess what? It was only designed to run away from the damn tiger. I go, so yeah, how long did that take? Oh, well, if the tiger's chasing you, you ran 10 minutes, let's say, and you got away, there's no more threat.
Well, Andrea Turner just said that she has some stress hormones that she could donate if anybody's looking for stress.
Who needs a transplant? Okay.
Exactly. No, but this is really, I mean, this speaks to how all the work that you and Greg Braden and Anita Morjani and Shamini Jane all do together. Because
Yes.
it's one thing, because how do you all, so we've got close to 300 people here in this conversation right now. And I want to ask each one of you right now, how do you feel in your body, or what is this conversation doing for you? Because I know that I'm having this conversation and listening to Dr. Bruce and really, really getting like more and more like, oh yeah, I need to relax a little bit more. I need to have more of these conversations. I need to be with my tribe. I need to affirm everything that I know and believe and have been taught. And so doesn't it just like validation. Thank you, Terry. Exactly. It's validation. It's being with your people, remembering, recognizing it's all truth. Yes, and you feel differently. Like I'm feeling differently having this conversation. Like, why am I stressing about, I don't know, stupid things, right? Awareness.
Well, let me add something to that, Liz. And this is important because some people don't understand. There's something called the biological imperative. Oh, it sounds very well. Biological
Yes.
imperative. It ought to have a crown on it or something. I go, what is it? It is the biological drive to survive. And I go, what do you mean? I go, every organism on this planet, from bacteria to humans and above, have a built-in drive to survive. If you're threatened, your biology is not going to go, oh, okay, just kill me. No, your biology will have you do everything in your possible realm to stay alive. Even a bacterium. You want to kill a bacterium, it's not going to go, oh yeah, kill me. It's
Yes,
going
but
to
it's
do.
but there's a difference, okay? So I'm interrupting just for a second because there's a difference between um can you hear me? Because all of a sudden you
Yeah,
froze. There you go. Okay,
yeah,
there's a difference between like, oh my God, I have to run, I have to run, I have to run, right? Between that energy, right, which sets off all the blah, all
yeah.
that like agita, right? As opposed to, okay, we need to get ourselves together. We need to pack up now. You know, it's like with the energy in which you do it. It's the level of stress in which you do it, right?
Well, that's a gauge. It's a stress gauge, and
Right,
as the stress gauge goes up, that's where health problems start. They didn't start
right.
with your body. Very few people, less than 1% of the population, has anything wrong biologically that's causing a problem in their life. That means more than 99% of the people have a machine that should work perfectly well. And I say, well, why we have so much illness? And I said, well, we've been blaming the machine. I go, no, because the new biology, especially epigenetics and quantum physics, which is the vehicle and the driver. There's a driver driving this vehicle. And driver education is very critical because if you have bad driver education, you're going to have your vehicle in the junkyard or in the shop most of the time. But the better driver education you have, the more your car lasts and runs beautifully for a long time. And I say, so driver education is we've been groomed to live in fear and stress, not enough threat, competition, and it gets worse every day. And I go, it gets worse every day because it's a pyramid scheme. A pyramid scheme is, in the very beginning, okay, I'm the banker and there's no money, but I have bank money, so I give you a $10 bill. And that's the first money. I just gave you $10. But then I say, but give me back 10%. I go, what does that mean? Give me back an extra dollar. So who has the extra dollar? I only gave you a 10. There is no extra dollar. Where are you going to get the extra dollar? Oh, put a mortgage on your house. The problem is we have all this money, but it has no value to it anymore. It's just paper. It's paper. Right. And it changes from day to day. I say, what do you mean? I say, you can look online. The money value every day in the currency exchange, it changes up and down and up and down. I go, what do you mean it changes up and down? He goes, because it's paper. It can have any value you want. And it's heading for a crash. Why? There's nothing behind it anymore. Right. We used to have gold. Yeah, so you could go take your dollar bill and get a piece of gold. That's an exchange. There is no more gold. So I said, well, then what do you get in exchange? I said, a note. Yeah, we owe you $1. Oh, that's great. Thanks a lot. I go, so why is this an issue? And the idea is this. The bigger issue facing us are there are a couple of big ones. Let me put the economy in right now. And the economy comes in because everybody's in debt. Nobody has any money. I go, every country's in debt. Even China is supposed to be the rich in debt. Japan's in debt. Everybody's in debt.
Right.
I go, where are they getting the money? More money.
I know.
So there's a problem. There's a problem. And now let's go to another problem, because we're all in a problem here. And this is the problem.
I want to remind everybody, before we go to a problem, I want to remind everybody about a solution that you offered, because Jason just shared. I love this. Jason said, although we'd all love to change the world issues, most of it is out of our control. No reason to stress at that point. Love that. Take it as it comes. Stress diminishes. Breath, cleanse yourself with the universal light. Works for me anyhow. That's so great. But what I love, Jason, so what you said was so important. Although we'd love to change the world and the situation, what Bruce said previously in the conversation was so perfect, is that we can't go out here and change the system, right? We can't go out here and say, okay, this system has been in place for millions of years. It's a matter of, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Bruce, but it's a matter of creating our new system, our new way of being. I mean, that's honestly one of the reasons I created Celebrate Your Life events, was because I was really hungry for these kinds of conversations. My mainstream friends and people were poo-pooing me. And so I created 28 years ago, going strong, thank goodness, a Celebrate Your Life events and community where we can have these conversations and where we're not being bombarded with all the noise, with all of the world's drama, and we're living in what I believe is really truth. So we're stepping out of that new norm. And just very, very quickly, Bruce, before we go on, I just want to share with everyone. I'm going to share my screen just super quick, because I want everyone to see what's coming up with Bruce. So here's what's coming up with Bruce and Shamini Jane. And here we go. Here's Shamini. Here's Dr. Bruce. Here's Anita Morjani. Here's Greg Braden. And we are doing this amazing program in, let's see if we can get back up here, in 4 powerful teachers for 4 life-changing days on Friday, January 26th through Monday, January 29th in 2024. So here, where's all 4? There's all 4 of you. There we go. All 4 of these powerful luminaries are coming together for an unbelievable retreat in 2024. I hope that you will all come join us. I'll make sure, and once again, put the URL on the screen. It's going to be a fantastic program. And the 4 of them created this. They came to me and said, we want to do this. It's time that the 4 of us come together. We've got important information to share with the world. And it's important that all of us come together as community and have these conversations in person. in person.
Well,
Okay.
Liz, let me just add to that, because the important part is this: each of us has a piece of a puzzle, and when they come together and it's laid out in front of us and what we can do. My brother Greg has always talked about the nature of the physics and the planet and the history and repeating the history. And Shamini talks about consciousness and heart. Anita is all the spiritual lady who's been there and back to tell us about it. And the idea is what? We are facing a chaos problem. But the question, as we brought up before, do you go in and fight the chaos? I say, no, you don't fight the chaos, because you don't have that amount of energy. That your energy get wiped out. So
Right.
the other thing is, we come together as a community. And I go, but this for me is a great message, because this is biology. Biology is the evolution of community. And it's interesting because, look at it this way. Darwin and Malthus look at the world and say the garden is a battleground. And I go, well, that's completely wrong. A garden is the height of cooperation. A garden is all the organisms working together to make the beauty of a garden. And yet we've turned this thing around now to, guess what? It's fight and struggle and all that. And I go, that was never that way. Nature never made it that way. Humans make it that way.
Right.
And it's time for us to recognize we are the ones that are causing our own extinction. Nature isn't trying to say, okay, you guys just disappear. Nature is actually saying, you're upsetting the entire garden. You are the viruses, you humans. You were supposed to be gardeners. You're a virus. You're destroying the web of
I
life. I go,
know, but I
we
love
are.
that. But I really know this to be true, that there is a community of people. All of us here, I'm looking at all of your comments and they're just beautiful. Carrie and Gabrielle and Debbie and Marianne and Mandy and Bella. I mean, all of you, Carolina. I mean, all of you are just you. We are community, and we're coming together in an effort, because we know we can make the change. We know
That
we can be the change.
we
We
are the ones.
are the ones. Alida, that beautiful comment you made before, and Mark, you're living it. Yes, we are the ones. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And the idea is, what did the biology get to show me? And the biology did show me that evolution is a cooperation among all the organisms in the web of life. You can't just get rid of some organism you don't like because it's playing a role. And we have a role, but we forgot what the role is. Humans' role, as the indigenous people have always said, is we are gardeners in a garden. Right now, we're pillaging the garden and we're just destroying the web of life without recognizing our role was so important and so powerful that we could tip it one way or the other way based on our behavior. And nature is now telling us your behavior is not in harmony with the planet. And while it looks like the environment's all falling apart, guess what? That's only because we're here. The moment we're not here, that environment will come back so beautiful you wouldn't believe it. I mean, best example is Chernobyl, where they had the nuclear accident and they made the exclusion is no people could be in this area because of the radioactivity from the plant. Well,
right.
guess what? It has the richest animal population in all of the former Soviet Union. It has plants that have taken over the buildings. Trees are growing out of the buildings of the city. Trees and plants, and it's turned into a veritable jungle filled with animals and everything. What?
Oh,
No
beautiful.
people, no people. And it goes, what's the point? It says, hey, when people are gone, the garden's coming back. The earth's not ending. It's just us.
Right.
So we have a
Right.
choice. We have a choice, and it's coming to us right now. This choice is, are you going to participate in the harmony of the garden, or are you going to continue killing the garden by joining the conventional world and go through all the stress and aggression that is present in that particular world? I live in the world, but I don't live in that world. I live in the world, yeah, with all of you. Yeah, I do. But guess what? I'm surrounded by community. I'm surrounded what's going on. And I find, guess what? There's a community of us that is floating here, enjoying life, enjoying the nature of what community is all about, because that is evolution, and working in harmony. Are we going into fight? No. Why?
Right.
Why spend that energy when we could have the energy to enjoy life? Yes, you can enjoy life. Really? Yes. But guess what? There
Exactly.
are rules. Oh, there are rules. Oh, yeah, there are rules. And it says learning to live in harmony with nature is the rule.
Yes.
And
Yes.
disharmony is the source of dis-ease. Harmony, health; disharmony, disease. And we're facing disease as a civilization at this moment. We're in
Right.
such disharmony. And the idea is what? Every human, when we understand the spiritual nature, and I started off saying I wasn't spiritual until the cells showed me. I said, what did they show me? I said, well, here's a very interesting, simple fact. Into, let's just say, your body, okay?
Mhm.
Okay. I can't put my cells into your body. I say, why? Because your immune system will say, not self. And if you put your cells into my body, my immune system will say, not self. And I go, so, there's something very important in that understanding. I said, what is it? The cells have a self that is different for every person. No two people have the same self. I go, what does that mean? I say, on your cells, and this is the wake up part that blew my mind. On our cells, there are what are called receptors on the surface, on the skin, which is just like us. We're eyes, nose, ears, taste, touch, pain. These are sensory devices built into the surface. Well, there is a set of receptors, which are proteins. They're like antennas, and they're called self receptors. I go, so what is that? What's that? I go, no two people have the same set of self receptors. I go, so what does that mean? I go, the receivers. I say, so what does that mean? I say, on the surface of your cells, you have protein antennas that are receivers of you, of your identity. No two people have the same set of receivers. I go, yeah, but where's the signal coming from that is being picked up by those self receptors? Well, they're on the surface and they're facing outward. Where do you think the signal's coming from? Not from inside.
Right.
The identity that is playing through your cells that no other person on this planet is playing is an identity that is connected by what are called self receptors, which is like a combination lock. No two people have the same set. I say, so what? The signal of who you are is not in your body. Ooh, the signal is
Second.
received. You are receiving a broadcast. Analogy? You're looking at the Bruce television set. It's playing the Bruce show. The Bruce show is not in the Bruce show is picked up by the antennas called self receptors and then placed in the show. My identity, your identity is separate from each other because of these receptors. These receptors are signal receivers. The signals do not come from the inside, they come from the outside. And I stopped and I said, oh my God, I'm not in here. I'm not in here. I'm a broadcast playing through here. And it was real interesting because the moment it happened, I said, oh, I can't die. I can't die. I'm not even in here. I can't die. The television breaks, and I go, yeah, you're watching TV and it breaks. We say television's dead. Yep.
Oh my
Ready
God.
for this? Did the broadcast die when the television broke?
No.
No.
Of course.
Broadcast is always
Right.
there.
Right. Right.
And then what? And then what? I say, well, the broadcast is there even though your television's gone. I go, so what? And I said, another TV will have the same set of antennas that you have. And you'll be back. You'll
Oh,
be.
I love it.
Question is, the
Thomas
question
just
is,
wrote on here, mind blown.
yeah,
I
but
love
the
that.
cool part, this is the cool
Mind
part.
blown. Yes, Thomas.
The cool part is this: does the television have to be male or female? I say, no, that's the television. It's not the broadcast. Does the television have to be white, brown, black, red, yellow? I go, no, that's the television. That's not the broadcast. I go, so what's the point? When we confuse the television with the spirit, we make a big mistake. All of us are spirit. All of us have different TVs. And the point about it is this: in understanding the nature of spirituality. And I asked myself, okay, folks, I had a moment of like, oh, I can't die. I'm not in here. I'm the broadcast. Instantaneously, from a biological point of view, not from spiritual devotion and teaching, blah, blah, blah. No. Instantaneously, I said, I cannot die. I'm immortal. I am the spirit. Now comes the funny part. I go, funny part? I go, yeah, because now I recognize I'm a spirit and a body. So I asked the question, being scientist boy, I say, why have a spirit and a body, not just be a spirit? And that's when I found I had Jewish comedian cells. I go, what do you mean? I say, because they're always joking about ask them a question, they'll answer with a question. I ask myself the question, why have a body and a spirit? Why not just be the spirit? And the cells came up with a question. I could feel it come right up through my body, right up in my head. And the question was, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? Now you have to think about that for a moment.
Because we're not just.
All of a sudden I said, oh, it's
spirit.
vision. It's vision, sound, smell, taste, touch, love, fear. I go, these are expressions of a physical body that are turning our life experience into sensation.
Right.
And that this sensation is actually sent back to source so that we came in to experience life, and our experience, the experiences are sent back to our source. So I said, why we came here. And all of a sudden, you ready for this? From Mr. Science Boy, huh? Who now believes in spirituality because it's quantum physics.
Yes, we love it.
And quantum physics actually acknowledges that the universe is immaterial, it's all energy. And they conclude it's mental and spiritual, live and enjoy. That's out of a physics paper in the most prestigious scientific journal on the planet, Nature. It was called The Mental Universe, the article. Richard Conn Henry, the physicist, and the concluding sentence, I said, don't read the article, just look at the last sentence. The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. I go, oh my God. Science has fully opened up to the reality of spirituality through quantum physics because everything is energy.
Wow.
And I go, so what's so cool about this? I stop for a second, just can ponder this thought.
Okay. We're pondering, people. We're pondering.
Okay.
I'm seeing all of these fabulous comments. I'm not ignoring you. I'm on the edge of my seat now with Bruce. Okay, go for it.
We have been led die can go to heaven. And I say, what's heaven? Well, that's whatever the heck you create in your mind. Right. What? I can ask each one of you, tell me your vision of heaven. Each one's going to have a different vision. It's your creativity. And I go, oh, whoa, wait a minute. I go, what's the point? We came here as spirits in a suit that is creative. We create. We are creating our lives. We're creating the world around us. This is the fact of quantum physics. We're creators. And I say, but it's a two-way street. We receive the spirit, have the experience, and then send back the result to our spirit. And I go, just very quickly, how does that happen? Let me tell you, we used to read brain activity putting wires on a person's head called electroencephalograph. And I'm reading your brain activity inside. Well, guess what? There's a new device called magnetoencephalograph. It reads your brain function. The probe is out here. The probe doesn't touch you, and it's reading your brain activity. What does that mean? Your thoughts are not contained in your head. Your thoughts are broadcast back to the field again. So we are having this life. We were born into heaven. And you go, this is heaven? I go, well, if you ever fell in love, you experienced it as heaven in the so-called honeymoon phase. And I say, then how come it doesn't look like heaven violence, war, disease,
Yes,
climate change,
yes,
blah, blah, blah.
yes.
And I go, it's because we've been programmed. Oh, the movie The Matrix is not science fiction. The movie The Matrix is a documentary. I go, what do you mean? The premise of the movie is we're all been programmed. That is a fact. The first 7 years of your life has been programmed. And
Program.
guess what? The rest of your life, 95% of the rest of your life is the program. Are you living your life? I go, only 5%. 95% of your life, you are replaying the programs that you got in that first 7 years. The Jesuits, hey, they knew this for 400 years. They told their followers the science that we now know. And I said, what did they say? Give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. What did they know? The fact is, the programming is years of your life. That's programming.
Time for some
And
new
then,
programs is what Gabriel
and
said.
then
Right on.
95% is you're just going to play those programs. And 60%, if you want to talk percentages, 60% of the program.
But it's also now up to us because we have this, we're consciously aware of this information and we're consciously aware of this information. We know it. I mean, we've all heard, like all of you out there, I'm sure have heard the first 7 years is like super important. And it's breaking through those programs. It's doing the work
Yes.
that we're teaching and
Yeah.
Greg's teaching. I just want to mention, and we're going to get going pretty soon, but I do want to mention this again, that Bruce and Greg Braden and Anita Morjani and Dr. Shamini Jain, who does psychoneuroimmunology. Okay, wait, can I say it? Psychoneuroimmunology. She studies psychoneuroimmunology. Super fascinating. The 4 of them are teaming up together. I'm going to share my screen again and show you. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Here we go. I'm going to show you that the 4 of them have teamed up together to present a 4-day powerful, amazing retreat in Scottsdale, Arizona. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, come be with us because Scottsdale, Arizona is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous in January. So it's on Friday, January 26th through Monday, January 29th. You're going to have 4 days with these amazing teachers. This is, if you're loving this conversation, if you are loving this conversation, for 4 days, you will be completely supported, loved, nurtured, your soul nourished, your brain nourished, you'll be with like-minded soul tribe community for 4 days, and then you can walk back into your life feeling that much more powerful and clear and centered and ready for 2024. So come join them in January. I'll go ahead and post the URL in the comments so you all have it. It's going to be a fabulous event. I can't wait. I'll be there. I'll definitely be there.
Well, this is great because, as someone mentioned, we can reprogram your life so that it manifests a honeymoon, not just on certain experiences, but every day of your life.
Yeah.
Imagine waking up every day live on this planet, and so hey, just so you want to know what your programs are, I can help you right now before we leave here. I can tell you what, 95% of your life is the program. So I say, oh, well, then look at your life. It's a printout of your program. I say, so what are your programs? The answer is simply this. You ready? The things you like that come into your life, they come in because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But this is it. But the things you want and you struggle and you work hard and you sweat over it, and I'm going to make an effort. I'm working hard. Why are you working so hard? Those things, the destinations for those things are not supported by your program. Whatever you are struggling with in life, whether it's health, relationship, jobs, environmental issues, recognize this is that these issues come about because the programs we have take us away from health. And just let you know how the program is so important. Let me just give you a very simple one.
Yeah.
They follow the fate of children adopted into families where there's cancer running in the family lineage. And guess what they found out? Will get the same family cancer as the natural siblings in that lineage, except the adopted child came from totally different genetics.
Oh, wow.
What's the point?
It's the
You ready
program.
for this? There's no gene that causes cancer. Cancer is a disharmony in lifestyle and belief systems. And that was what is passed from family to family. When there's cancer running in a family, everyone says, oh, genes are connected. And I go, no, it's not the genes. It's the programming in the first 7 years that determines the future and fate of a child. As the Jesuit said, 95% is coming from that program. If your life is not working right, it's not because you can't have it. It's because your programs have thrown limitations in your way. And
Oh, let's
someone
say
had
that
mentioned,
slowly. Programs
we,
have thrown limitations in your way. Love
right.
that.
And the most important part of our group together when we come all together is to let you know you can reprogram and you
Yes.
can get out of that
Yes.
jail term, more or less, at
Yes.
95% of your life
I love
jail term.
what Gabriel said here. He said, I need a honeymoon. Come on the honeymoon with us. Come on, Gabriel. We are going to go on a honeymoon, and we're inviting all of you to come on the honeymoon together. We're doing that on January 26th through the 29th. I've posted the URL. I've posted it right here on the screen. Come and join Dr. Bruce and Greg Braden and Shamini Jain and Anita Morjani for a 4-day honeymoon, because that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to talk all about reprogramming and shifting. And I'm super excited. And
Let me tell you, it's more than 4 days. With the information you get in those 4 days, you can change the life you have. We'll give information about reprogramming. We'll talk about the
yeah,
nature of the programming. We'll talk about the emphasis of spirituality, not as a religious devotional thing. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with actual biological quantum physics spirituality. We are spiritual entities, and we
yeah,
came here to manifest heaven on earth. That is our destination. And when you're doing it right, you experience it as such. And if your
exactly.
program is not right, you can lose it again.
Let's
And
change
this is
our programming.
and it's great because look, I came from a family with my father and mother had a dysfunctional relationship. Father. Well, observing my father, his behavior was generating the dysfunction with my mother. So what do you think? 95% of my life, I was using those programs from my subconscious, and I had no real understanding of relationship or love in this life. But once I understood the nature of the programming, once I understood that, how could I get a positive response with a program that I got from my father and then learn to reprogram? I was given the opportunity to meet my partner, Margaret. We have been, and I swear to God, on a honeymoon. We've been on a honeymoon 28 years every day. And I
Oh,
say, this guy who couldn't get a relationship off the ground for over 40 some years is telling you he has this honeymoon for 28 years. Let me tell you something. It's not an accident. It's a manifestation. It's a creation. And if you understand the nature of that creation action, then you have the power to manifest your own creation. And
oh,
this is how we get out of this chaos. I say, yeah, start creating something different.
different. Yeah.
Together. We call it the Gabs. That's
The
Greg,
gaps. I
Anita,
know. And
Bruce,
that's what
and
we're going to be
Tommy.
doing, you guys. If you want more of
The
this, I mean,
Gabs.
we could talk. We've been here an hour now. And David, yes, once we end the live stream, you can go back and watch the video. It'll be on Bruce's wall or on any of the Celebrate Your Life walls. So we're going to close this conversation and saying, come join us. Come join Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Anita Morjani, and Shamini Jain on January 26th through the 29th in beautiful Scottsdale and sunny and lovely Scottsdale, Arizona. And January is gorgeous here. Come join us for 4 days. If you liked this conversation, you're going to have 4 days of this and then so much content to take back in your life and make those changes that Bruce is talking about. All right, everyone. Bruce, thank you so much for this. I'm going to post the URL one more time, and thank you so much for taking so much time out of your day to
Oh,
be.
I'm so excited. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. The absolute truth is, I've had two different lives in this one lifetime.
I
But
know.
it took the idea of what? Reprogramming to manifest this
I'm
current
so
life.
ready
And
for that. I'm like
that's
ready.
what we're
Who's
going to
ready
talk
for that?
about.
I'm ready for the reprogramming.
We're going to talk about that.
Yes. All right, everyone. Oh, Thomas, so good to see you, and Barbara and everybody. So, mwah, thank you so much. And thank you, Bruce. Stay right there, Bruce, just for a second.